Hi, it's Chris Watkin here, and I'm back in the next episode of me interviewing self-employed estate agents who've recently gone over from the other side. I'm with Joanna Hood. Joanna, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
When did you first become interested in becoming an estate agent originally?
I became an estate agent in 1998. My first job.
You must have been a child.
I was, yes, I know. No, I was 19 and I worked for Adam Kennedy.
Whereabouts was that?
I started off in Walthamstow and then moved to South Cheapford.
Why estate agency?
I just kind of fell into it. I dropped out of college, didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew someone that was in a estate agency. They introduced me to Ian Dobrin and he sent me out on interviews. And I just liked the vibe in the office, not being stuck in an office, being able to go out and about and meet the public. And obviously I didn't know it then, but you know, I certainly enjoyed doing sales. So
Okay, so 98, the market was, let's be frank, a little bit sludgy. Didn't really start taking off until 2000, 2001. Were you still at the original firm when things started to warm up a bit in the property market?
no, I worked for Adam Kennedy for 2 years. And then I went to work for Ian. So I did a spell with him in recruitment.
So you went into recruitment. What made you want to go into recruitment?
I just fancied doing something different and I felt like recruitment was kind of the hub of a estate agency. And I did enjoy it, but I didn't like being stuck in an office. I missed being out and about. And yeah, it was a good experience. It didn't last very long. But I was certainly glad to get back out into...
So you went back into estate agency.
Yeah.
Were you valuing it this time, or?
Yeah, I valued from day one. I was sent out on valuations.
Okay. So in 2007, 2008, the property market went a bit belly up. How did you cope with that?
Yeah, I think, you know, as an estate agent on the high street, you've got a basic salary and small amount of commission, but you just have to work a lot harder. Make sure that the deals that you are putting together are strong deals and you're not going to get a high fall-through rate. And obviously getting the best training that you can get to go out and do valuations. And obviously those were the days before we had social media to rely on. So it was very much about going out touting, your board presence, going out with a map, and board knocking other agents.
Did you enjoy that?
I did, yeah. I've had some funny experiences. Which we won't say on camera, but yeah, I did enjoy it. I liked the graft of it. I liked the hustle.
Okay.
So yeah, I used to, you know, from very early on in my career, was sent out board knocking, touting.
Okay, so you got through that. What roughly, you know, don't go through every step, but what were you doing in the 2010s, you know, all the way through to 2018, 19? What were you doing then in a estate agency?
Yeah, so I was working for a high street estate agency. So I've worked a lot in London and West Essex. And I opened up my own estate agents with a backer, but obviously the market went and that just didn't work. The relationship was not right. And at that point, Ian Dobrin said to me about going out to Dubai. So I decided that I was in a time of my life. I've missed the Spanish market. Dubai was still doing really well. So I decided that would be a good career
Roughly
move.
when was this?
That was 2009.
Okay, so how long were you in Dubai for?
10 years.
That was an interesting time for you.
It was very interesting. Literally, the market crashed in Dubai as I got off the plane. And obviously there you are self-employed, so you don't have a basic salary. So I literally arrived in Dubai as a self-employed agent and had to work really hard, learn the market, learn the currency, obviously just things like writing down clients' phone numbers. It was all completely different. But yeah, I mean, I literally, that's the only time I've ever done rentals. I just did rentals to kind of see me through. And then when the market came back, I went back into sales. But obviously everything out there is very different. You do everything from the valuation all the way through to completion. You don't have solicitors. But there were times out there that I did really well. It was very feast and famine. I covered the Burj Khalifa, I covered the Palm Jumeirah. I was the first agent they ever let into the Burj Khalifa when it opened, which was one of my claims to fame. Loved running around that building doing deals. So it was really exciting. I went out there very arrogant about being a British estate agent and that we were the best in the world. But working with a lot of Australians and Americans, I learnt a very different side to the industry.
For good and bad?
For good. And when I moved back to the UK, I felt like I couldn't put myself back in a high street agency.
So when did you leave Dubai?
So I left Dubai 2 years ago.
Okay. What brought you back?
Kids.
Okay.
I wanted my kids to go to school back here in the UK. I wanted to start my career again. Obviously be amongst friends and family. So yeah, I came back.
So did you have family out there and then, or?
No. I moved out there as an estate agent, got married, had children, and then obviously when they were of an age, came back.
So how did your partner feel about coming back to the UK?
But he stayed out there for quite a while.
Okay. So it's just you and your kids in the UK now?
Yeah.
What did you do when you came back?
Well, when I came back, I didn't intend to start work straight away. But obviously now that my daughter is older and she's going to start school, it gives me time where I can work. She'll start school in September. So I have put a lot of planning in to the best way. And I did consider doing recruitment, as we spoke about. But then decided that actually I did really miss estate agency. And I felt quite jealous that people now have so much communication, so many tools of the trade that we never had. You know, doing a board check 20 years ago was very different to how you do it now. Very different. Comparables, we used to go down in the dusty old basement pulling out the files to get comparables. Now they're available at the touch of a button, which sometimes I think is a good thing, sometimes I think it's a bad thing. Certainly I think from the client's point of view that a lot of agents now have gone very computer based and CRM systems that do the match for you. So you take a property on, it matches to the clients. That's something that I don't think is a benefit to the industry.
Because you get quite passionate about the fact that you find estate agents, we've had many conversations over the phones, that they've lost the love and the passion for estate agency.
Yeah, I think you have to go back to basics. The basics are that you are a service provider, and moving house is very stressful. Believe me, I've done it enough times. So to be there for the client and to give them the best possible service surely has to be the outcome and your job satisfaction, which predominantly is what we're there for.
Yet isn't it interesting that most estate agents get a buzz from just the listing, not the sale, not even the sale or the exchange?
Yeah, the listing, you're not even a third of the way there. You're not even close. One thing that I have tried to implement with the properties that I've taken on since lockdown is doing open houses, because that's something that I learned from the Australians and the Americans works really well, especially for the seller who doesn't have to be around. A lot of agents still don't do their own viewings, which I really don't understand. But what I've said to my clients of late is, you go out on a Saturday morning, 10 till 12, I'll stay here, I'll bring all the relevant PPE, and I'll do an open house on your property. Obviously it creates the urgency to the buyers, it gives the seller a bit of breathing space, they only have to tidy up once a week and go out and have a coffee, whatever. So that's something that I've brought to the table from our Australian and American friends.
Do you think we are behind the Australians and the...
Dreadfully. We've got so much to learn from them. It's so much more of a professional industry. I mean, in Dubai we charge 2% from the buyer and 2% from the seller, so that's a 4%. But we earned those fees and we provided the service and we got that client the best possible price. And we did it all the way through. There was no solicitors involved. We did everything all the way through to title deed at the land department. And we were regulated out there, so we were. You had to be RERA regulated.
So you came back to the UK. You thought you might go into recruitment, but actually the call of the wild of a estate agency, the true calling was there.
Yeah, I just keep going back to it. I've tried to get out of the industry a few times, but it just doesn't. I am just an estate agent, and I have, I realise that now.
So where have you set up your estate agency?
So I'm now in Leigh-on-Sea in Essex. So I'm covering Leigh-on-Sea, Westcliff and Southend.
So they're the posh bits of Southend, aren't they?
Yeah, Leigh is, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Are you bringing the teachings and learnings that you learnt in Dubai to Leigh-on-Sea?
Yeah. For me, I like to educate my clients on how best to market their property, but also it's not for me to dictate to them how it should be done. So if an open house isn't suitable, that's fine. If they want to accompany viewings, then that's fine. It's a bespoke service to them. Everybody's circumstances are different.
So how long have you been an agent now with EXP?
Well, I literally started just before the lockdown, so it was February. I made the decision and started doing all the paperwork.
And how's it going?
Really well. Absolutely loving it. I've been in Lee now operating for just over 2 weeks. I've got 3 listings with another 2 pending.
Decent fees? Don't want to know the numbers, but decent fees.
Don't work for free. All with boards.
And was it scary?
No, loved it.
What would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence saying, I've always wanted to create something for myself and be able to not to see my family more? What would you say to someone who's scared as hell?
It's scary for everybody. I mean, I was in a position perhaps where I didn't feel that because I've done it before. Going to Dubai was much scarier. But if you believe in yourself, if you believe that you can do it, if you can go through all the way from valuation to completion with your client, then do it. Do it. Because if you don't, obviously the worst thing is regret. You'll regret not doing it, and it is the way forward. If you're an agent coming up against EXP or any other kind of self-employed agent, the benefit of us is that the client only ever deals with us and they can call us on our mobile. And that, I think, is why I've had such a good success rate already with my valuations turning into instructions, is they appreciate the fact that they don't have to call an office, speak to the receptionist who may leave a message for somebody who may or may not be out of the office, who may or may not have ever seen the property. Because for me, there's nothing worse than ringing an estate agent and saying, does it have a downstairs toilet? Oh, I don't know, and they've never seen it.
Just call centre people.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.